So how do you know when to replace your tires? Well, here is a tire tread depth gauge that I just purchased. This thing runs for about $5 in your local automotive store. And all you have to do is just find a little groove in your tire and insert the pin and see what it says. Now this one has two measurements. One is in millimeters, the standard metric system, and it also has the 32nd inch measurement as well. So here it shows just below 3. So I would say it's about 2.5 millimeters. And if you prefer the 30 seconds, it's about 3 30-seconds. And I just measured the outer edge of my tire. Now you might also want to check the inside, the center of the tire, because sometimes they wear differently at different speeds. So the first track was right here, and then the center gauge. Oh, there's a bee that flew into me. So the center is measuring I would say it's probably around 4 millimeters in the center. It's showing the 5 and the 4 is just at the line, and that equals to about 5 30-seconds, just under 5 30-seconds. So I did some research about this, and they said if your tire is underinflated, oftentimes the edges wear out slightly faster than the center, and that's not too big of an issue. On mine it shows slightly different, 2.5 mil on the outer edges and then 4 mil left on the inner center. So how do I know when to replace the tires? Well, I don't know if you can see this, but in let me see if I can find it first. In every tire there should be some sort of a groove, a marking that shows you. It's kind of hard to see. There is a small little bridge that is the marker for when to replace the tire, and this marker is set at 1.6 millimeters or 2 32nd of an inch. So if your tire is actually flush, the tread depth is flush against this marker, that means you have to replace your tire immediately, because that is a legally required minimal tread depth. Okay, so I can feel that mine still has about 1 mil or so left on it. So since I'm at 2.5 mil on the edges and about 4 mil in the center, and you should go with the lowest number really to be safe. I would say I still have about 3 to 6 months before I have to really seriously think about replacing my tire. In tire shops, they probably will tell you in about when you have a tire tread of about 2 millimeters, about 2 to 3 30-seconds, that's when they say to really seriously think about replacing them. And once you reach 1.6 millimeters, then you have to, by law, you're required to replace your tires. If you don't have a tire tread depth gauge, what I did before I purchased one, I just took out a coin. It doesn't have to be a specific coin. There's many different kinds of coins. This is a Canadian nickel, but you can use a quarter or whatever you want you have, and just place it on the tread depth, and just mark it with your fingernail or something like that, and just see how much is left. Here I have just above this person's head. Just remember that point, that was the outer edge, and just take out a here, I don't know if I can show it very well. Just take out a any measuring tape that has the marks on it, and the best way to do it is if you just lay it flat on the ground or on your hand and just measure it from this point, and then see that's about, say, about 3 millimeters from this person's head to the top. So it can give you a rough estimate. If you don't have a tire tread depth gauge, you can just use a coin just to get an estimate of how much tread depth is left. So do that for the outer edge, and then also do one for the center. And then I've been checking my tire pressure off and on fairly regularly, so I'm not sure why it's wearing out unevenly. It should be wearing out evenly from right across the whole width of the tire, but in my case, I do have a minivan which is fairly heavy. I don't know if you can see this. Yeah, it's a fairly big vehicle, so sometimes I mean, right now there's no bulge here, but sometimes I've noticed that the bottom part bulges out a little bit, and the weight of the tire, the weight of the car is sometimes too much for these tires. This is Continental tires, but so sometimes there could be a little bit less, a little bit more wear on the outside than the center. So that's how you measure your tire tread depth. And the important thing is, in the summertime, you can, like, this depth is probably totally fine in the summertime. Right now it's August. They actually say it's better to have lower tread depth for the summer because it handles better. But definitely in the winter, especially here in Pacific Northwest, when we get a lot of rain and snow in the winter, then you want to have as much tread depth as possible, preferably about 3 mil or more for rain and 5 mil or more for snow. It's a general guideline. So for me, it's okay right now to just keep these on for another couple of months, and before the winter hits, I would be considering to replace these tires. I have about 70,000 kilometers, and that's about 42,000 miles on them. These are factory tires, so that's I'm not too concerned about them. They're Cross Contact LX Sport Michelin. Not Michelin. Cross Contact LX Sport Continental. So yeah, they're pretty good for considering they were factory OEM tires. So I've been fairly satisfied with them. But I do notice that as these tires are wearing down, the grip is pretty much gone in the winter with rain. We get a lot of rain and some snow as well, so definitely consider for the winter to be replaced. Thanks for watching.